Have you ever been in a situation where you felt an overwhelming urge to speak, but then something deep inside told you to stay silent? Maybe it was anger, maybe it was fear, or maybe it was a gut feeling telling you that silence was the best response. What if I told you that silence, something most of us view as a weakness, is actually one of the most powerful tools you possess? What if I told you that staying silent in certain moments could be the key to protecting your relationships, your reputation, and your future? In today's fast-paced, opinion-driven world, silence is often undervalued. But it's time to change that. In this video, I'm going to reveal 9 situations when silence is not only the best response, but the most powerful one. And trust me, you'll want to hear number 9. It's a game changer. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see silence in a whole new light. 1. When you're angry. Let's start with something we all know: anger. It's one of those emotions that can blind you to reason, that can turn your best intentions into regret. You know what I'm talking about, right? You've been there before. You're in a heated conversation or argument, and suddenly, your anger takes over. Your mind races, your heart pounds, and you just have to speak. But here's the truth. When you speak out of anger, you're not just hurting the person in front of you, you're hurting yourself. Think about it. How many times have you lashed out in anger and later wished you hadn't said what you said? Words are like arrows. They fly out fast, and they can never be retrieved. And once they hit their target, the damage is done. But what if, instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you took a step back? What if you let the silence do the talking? When you stay silent in moments of anger, you create space for emotional clarity. You regain control of your thoughts, and you stop yourself from making decisions that could haunt you for years. In those moments, silence is your superpower. It stops you from speaking words you can't take back. Silence gives you a moment to cool off. It gives you control over your emotions and over your future interactions with that person. Remember this: sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. 2. When you don't have all the information. A puzzled expression as someone tries to give advice without knowing the facts. We've all been there. You're in a conversation, someone asks you for your opinion or advice, and you feel this pressure to respond right now. You don't want to look clueless or uninformed, so you give an answer. But what happens when you answer without knowing the full story? What happens when you jump into a situation without all the facts? We live in an era where we feel the need to have an opinion on everything. But here's the catch. Not knowing everything doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. In fact, it's a sign of strength to remain silent when you're unsure. Think of the greatest leaders in history. They didn't always speak first. They waited, they observed, and they gathered information. And guess what? It made them more powerful. When you stay silent, you give yourself time to gather facts, to think critically, and to respond thoughtfully. You know that feeling when you say something and then realize you were completely wrong? It's one of the worst feelings, right? But here's the thing. Silence can save you from that. When in doubt, stay quiet. Silence shows maturity, wisdom, and control. It shows that you're not just speaking for the sake of speaking, but that you're carefully considering your words. Plus, if you stay silent long enough, people might start thinking you're a genius, even if you're just taking a moment to Google it. 3. When someone else is speaking. Now let's talk about something we all do without even thinking: interrupting. You're sitting in a conversation, and someone says something you don't agree with, or you've got a brilliant point ready to go, and bam, you speak up. It feels natural, right? But here's the kicker. When you interrupt, you're not just stopping someone else from talking, you're also stopping yourself from truly listening. We've all been guilty of this. You're so eager to get your point across that you cut others off. But think about it. How many times has someone else's words changed your mind or given you new perspective? When you interrupt, you miss the opportunity to fully hear and understand the other person. Silence during someone else's speech is a form of respect. It shows that you value their opinion. It shows you care more about understanding than being understood. And you know what else? The more you listen, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more powerful you become. Ever notice how the quiet ones often have the best ideas? 4. When you're trying to convince someone. We've all been there, trying to convince someone that we're right. We've made our point clear, but they just don't seem to get it. So what do? We keep talking, right? We push harder, we get louder, we try to convince them even more. But here's something counterintuitive. The more you try to convince someone, the less likely they are to be convinced. This is where silence comes in. It's not about sitting back passively. No, it's about knowing when to stop talking and let the other person fill the silence. This can be a powerful psychological move. The moment you stop pushing, the other person starts to think. They start to question, reflect, and even reconsider their own position. It's subtle, but it works. Think about it. In those moments, when you don't try to convince someone, they're more likely to come around on their own terms. Let them speak, let them process, and let silence create space for understanding. 5. When you're in a negotiation. Negotiations high stakes. You want to win, you want the deal. But here's a little-known secret. The best negotiators aren't the ones talking the most. They're the ones who know when to stay quiet. It sounds strange, right? But the next time you're in a negotiation, try this. After making your point, just stop. Don't say a word. Let the other side respond. Here's why it works. Silence is uncomfortable for most people. It creates tension. And in that tension, the other person starts to feel pressured to fill the silence with words. And often, they reveal more than they intended. This is your opportunity to gather more information, get them to drop their guard, and ultimately get what you want. In a negotiation, the more you talk, the more you give away. But when you stay silent, you maintain control of the situation. You're in the driver's seat. 6. When you're in emotional turmoil. When emotions run high, whether it's sadness, frustration, or overwhelming stress, our instincts often push us to speak. We want to express how we feel, to release the pressure that's building inside. But here's the truth. Speaking when you're emotionally charged often results in more hurt and more pain. Emotions are powerful, but they can also distort reality. They can lead us to say things that aren't true or to make decisions that we'll regret. In these moments, silence is your safety net. Instead of speaking from a place of pain, let the silence give you time to reflect. Give yourself the opportunity to process your emotions, to see the bigger picture, and to choose your words with care. Remember, emotional turmoil clouds your judgment, but silence clears the air. 7. When someone is venting. A friend ranting while the other listens intently, nodding silently. Have you ever had a friend who just needed to vent? They're going off about something and you're standing there wanting to offer solutions. But here's the thing. When people are venting, they don't want solutions. They want to be heard. They want validation. They want empathy. Silence in these moments is more than just listening. It's your way of telling them, I understand, I'm here for you. And believe me, that silence speaks volumes. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone isn't to fix their problem, but to simply be there and listen. 8. When someone is trying to manipulate you. Manipulators thrive on your reactions. They push your buttons, they twist your words, and they exploit your emotions. But what happens when you don't react? When you stay calm, composed, and, yes, silent? You throw them off. You take away their power. Silence is your shield. When someone is trying to manipulate you, don't fall into their trap. Don't respond in anger or defensiveness. Instead, hold your ground with silence. It confuses them, disorients them, and puts you back in control. 9. When you're about to make a major decision. And here we are, the big one. the ultimate situation where silence is key. When you're about to make a major life decision, whether it's a career change, a relationship decision, or any crossroads moment, don't rush. The world will try to push you to act fast, to make a decision without taking a breath. But the best decisions are made in the quiet, when you have time to reflect, to weigh your options, and to listen to that still voice within. In those moments, silence is not just a pause. It's your time to hear your heart, to tap into your intuition, and to make a choice that aligns with your true self. So, let me ask you, what's the one situation in your life right now where silence could change everything? Think about it. Is it in your personal life, your career, or your relationships? Because here's the thing. Silence isn't passive. It's not about avoiding. It's about creating space for power, for clarity, and for your true voice to emerge. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.